The sexual experience is something which is happening at a very material level in the system, and it is there to give meaning to the possibility of communication with the male, because the male and the female are just that different that they don't understand each other at all. The male and female orgasm is also a sign to the human being about what actually is possible when the consciousness expands beyond the emotional, which is where the entire sexual activity happens. There's no such thing as tantric sexuality. That's ridiculous.
What is the role of female sexual experience in bringing one closer to their primal essence and connection to oneself and with the other also?
When you talk about the primal self, it just sounds very nice in a book. Like it has this deep meaning. The female is now making the way to her primal self, and it's fine, it's literature. But the actual experience in the body, whether it's for a male or a female, is of a concurrent primalness with the so-called more conceptual humanness. It's all concurrent, because that which you call the primal, whether it's a female or a male, is actually a connection to the plant animal that is genetically part of this being. We even have a kriya called, what's it called, that kriya? I've given it different names. I keep changing the names. The one where you move through your entire, like you move from stone to tree to evolutionary awakening kriya is what I call it. It's amazing because when you do that kriya, you can experience within yourself the materiality of the mineral base of this body, and then you can feel the plants, and then you can feel the animal, because that's your genetic inheritance. So that primalness you speak about is actually a connect with what is in you, and which doesn't need to be connected in any way with your sexuality or your sexual experience. The sexual experience is something which is happening at a very material level in the system, and it is there to give meaning to the possibility of communication with the male, because the male and the female are just that different that they don't understand each other at all. There's basically like a big wall between the male and the female. They just do not understand each other. And because they don't understand each other, they need to have a means of communication that is devoid of a conceptual activity. And that is the way they communicate, which also results in procreation. So to make that whole thing more palatable, you do have the male and female orgasm also a sign to the human being about what actually is possible when the consciousness expands beyond the emotional, which is where the entire sexual activity happens in the second chakra. And it's a sign. It's like to say, this is how it is, but 1,000,000 times over, when you expand upward from the emotional Swadhisthana area of the system, beyond it, beyond it, beyond it, beyond it, beyond it, till you go into union, anahata, where you are one with the other. And that experience, it's an expression 1,000,000 times more powerful than what you experience in the emotional part of the being, the Swadhisthana area. It's giving you a glimpse into what is possible in the human system. Most people stay stuck there. They don't go further. They don't expand further. So that primal part of your being is actually the plant animal, which is part of the cells of your body, the genetic memory. And you don't have to go there because you're a human now. Your material body is an expression of your mineral past. Your emotional body is an expression of your plant animal past. Your conceptual body is, which is your mind, your thinking, is an expression of your human present. Your transformative or creative body, which corresponds with the chakra above that, is an expression of your abilities at creativity, which will also be represented by the beings that follow the human being. Do you see the picture of how all of that fits together?
Yes.
It's taking you a little bit away from your primal screaming past.
It sounds so infantile now,
Yeah, but you can still hug trees, that's okay. They like to be hugged. It's not infantile, it's a process. You start with that. If you're a spiritual seeker, you don't just start saying Om and sit there in Padmasana. You start with exploring maybe your sexuality because you know, in the culture you come from, that's allowed, it's possible. So you take that route and you approach spirituality more from an emotional, sexual aspect and approach, and gradually you move from that into a bhakti state, which is the elevated form of the emotional state. It's the elevated form of all of those other things, and then you go into devotion. The same thing is when you're thinking about spirituality, you're reading books, you're doing spiritual tourism and so on, in the conceptual, and at one point it sort of crystallizes itself into a deeper understanding, into jnana, you know. So that's what is happening. Same with the body. In the beginning, you're just doing nonsense with the body. And then at one point, as you become more aware, more in surrender, your body starts to become more contoured, more present, more alive, you know. So that's why it's not infantile, but it's past tense. Because attempting to connect spiritual experience with sexual experience is it's like trying to connect two opposite ends of a spectrum. If you do that, there's no spectrum anymore. So I'm not reducing your experience in any way. I think it's important, but it's a stepping stone. That whole world of sexuality. For example, they talk about tantric sexuality, and you know, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as tantric sexuality. That's ridiculous. It's like there is an attempt to increase the communicative power of sex. That, yes, that's different, but that's not. It's like putting two words together that don't have anything to do with each other. There has never been anything like that in the Indian subcontinent, for sure. So, you know, tantric sexuality. In the Tantra practices, the system is strengthened and trained to be able to hold its own and its strengths in a sexual encounter. That is why that sexual encounter is undertaken in the first place, to see how far are you able to stay untouched, unshaken by any kind of environmental input in that realm.
Be in the presence of Maharishikaa Preeti. Participate in an ancient yet futuristic transmission of knowledge. Receive answers, receive strength. Singapore weekend, June 17th and 18th. Goa Immersive, June 30th to July 5th. Zurich Immersive, July 31st to August 5th. For more information and to register, click the link in the description box below.